Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're focusing on Zapp Electric Vehicles Group. You've sent over a bunch of information company overview, performance data, financials, due diligence, market updates, right up to early May 2025. Our goal here is to really unpack all this and get a clear picture of where Zapp stands right now.
Okay. And it's an interesting one. They're in that high-performance electric two-wheeler space, specifically for urban commuting. They really pushed the design and sustainability angles, founded back in 2017, British brand identity, but actually based in Bangkok. Their main product, the i300 bike, seems to embody that focus on performance, but also being user-friendly.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the stock performance because honestly, it looks like a bit of a roller coaster. Just in the last month, we've seen it swing from what, $0.28 up to 93 cents. Huge daily moves.
Yeah, that's pretty wild volatility.
But then you zoom out, say 6 months, and there's a clear downward trend. In the past year, it's, well, stark. Dropped from a high of over $19 down to that same low, around 0.28 cents.
$19 down to under 30 cents. Oof.
And just recently, May 8th, it fell again, sharply over 30% in a day. And the trading volume shot way up, like double the usual.
That kind of price action definitely screams growth stock speculation, especially in EVs. But that massive drop over the year from $19, that signals some serious market concerns, worries about their fundamentals, their future. And the high volume on that recent 30% drop suggests a lot of people were heading for the exits, or maybe some were jumping in, but definitely a lot of activity.
So with that volatility as the backdrop, let's look at the actual financial health. Trailing 12 months revenue is only about $17,440, which, as the notes say, is pretty low for the industry. And net income for that period, a loss of $9.01 million. That translates to earnings per share of negative $2.56. It definitely paints a picture of financial struggle.
It does. Those are concerning numbers, no doubt. But it's important to add some context here. While those trailing numbers show losses, if you look at their fiscal year 2024 compared to 2023, there was actually a huge improvement in the net loss per share.
Oh, really? How much?
Well, it went from a loss of nearly $93 per share down to that $2.56 loss per share. Still a loss, but a massive reduction.
Okay, that is a significant change.
And they also improved their operating cash flow situation, used less cash, went from using about $6.5 million in 23 to around $4.9 million in 24. And they're actually projecting positive operational cash flow by 2026. That's a key target for them and definitely something investors will be watching.
Right. So our earlier look flagged the financials and the stock swings as red flags. Strengths were, the innovative bike, sustainable production, their focus on emerging markets like Thailand and India. How does this newer financial data fit into that? Does it change the picture much?
Well, it certainly reinforces the concerns about the current financial state and the stock volatility. That hasn't gone away. But the improvement in reducing the rate of loss and managing cash burn better suggests maybe, just maybe, things are starting to move in a slightly better direction financially. They're still deep in the red, though. And the strengths, like the i300's design won awards, right, and their production setup, those still stand as positives. Their market positioning in Southeast Asia is also still a potential plus.
Let's touch on that innovation piece. The i300 won an iF Design Award for 2024. That sounds good, but does it, translate commercially? And this microfactory in Bangkok, what's the strategy there?
The awards definitely help with brand recognition and validating the product design, which is important in a crowded market. The microfactory concept, well, it suggests maybe a more agile, possibly lower-cost approach than building massive plants. They say it has a capacity of around 21,500 units a year, aimed at both Thailand and exports.
21,500.
Yeah, the big question is, can that model scale up effectively if they get traction in, say, Europe? That could become a bottleneck later on.
Speaking of Europe, they seem to be pushing there. They've got UK approvals waiting on the full European homologation. That feels like a pretty big step.
Oh, it's huge. Getting into the EU market is critical for any EV maker wanting serious growth. Getting the UK approval and working on the EU one shows progress on the regulatory front, which can be complex. European homologation basically means meeting all the safety and environmental standards to sell across the EU.
Right. Opens up a lot of doors.
Definitely. And when you look at competitors like NIU with their scooters or Hero Electric in India, Zapp's focus on a high-performance urban motorcycle plus this European push, might let them carve out a niche.
Okay, so some potential positive catalysts coming up then. They just appointed their first European reseller at the end of April.
Yes, that's a concrete step towards that expansion goal.
And their annual general meeting is coming up soon, May 15th. Plus, the next earnings report is June 20th.
Exactly. Those are key dates. The reseller deal shows action. The AGM might give some strategic updates or forward-looking statements from management. And the earnings report, well, that's where we'll see if those financial improvements are continuing or if they have any new product news or updated guidance. Lots to watch.
But naturally, there are risks involved here. What are the main ones we need to keep front of mind with Zapp?
Well, several things. Regulatory changes in the EV space are always a background risk. Competition is fierce. They really need to stand out and execute well.
And the financial stability is still a major question mark given the losses.
Precisely. That recent stock price dive and the high volume,
Hmm.
it clearly signals heightened investor nervousness. Plus, there was that issue with Nasdaq compliance flagged earlier. That needs resolving, otherwise delisting is a real threat.
Oh, right, the Nasdaq non-compliance. Forgot about that.
And like almost everyone in the EV game, they're probably dealing with supply chain pressures too. That's just part of the landscape right now.
So, putting it all together, what's the sort of market sentiment? What are people saying?
Well, the news flow highlights the efforts to scale up production and get that European certification. Those could be seen positively. But analyst sentiment seems mixed.
Yeah.
Based on what we have. No strong bullish consensus apparent right now.
And social media.
Lots of chatter about the price drop. Naturally. Some unverified rumors floating around too, so, take that with a grain of salt. Definitely reflects concern, though.
Okay. So, that initial assessment we had leaned towards sell, mainly due to the financials, the volatility, the competition. Based on this latest info, does that still feel like the right take?
I'd say the recent data largely reinforces those initial concerns. The stock price action is worrying, and the losses, while improving year over year, are still substantial. The potential positives, reduced loss rate, European expansion efforts, they're there, but they haven't fully materialized into, say, profitability or sustained market confidence yet. The risks, especially financial stability and that market volatility, they still loom pretty large.
Okay, so for you listening and thinking about Zapp Electric Vehicles Group, what's the takeaway? We've looked at a company that clearly has an innovative product, a distinct focus in the growing EV world, but it's also facing some serious financial challenges and a very choppy stock market ride. The upcoming AGM on May 15th and that June 20th earnings report could be really telling. They might give us critical clues about their path forward. As always, though, remember this isn't investment advice. Do your own thorough research, look at all the angles before making any decisions. And hey, if you found this useful, please do subscribe, like the video, and maybe drop a comment if you have more questions.